I'm on a mission today. I got my one project done. Now I'm gonna start my commission portraits. I already drew what the outline of the portraits on transfer paper, so that way I'm on tracing paper, so that way I could transfer it. I mentioned previously that I bought this new transfer paper that was supposed to be, that's color, and I thought because it was color it would just transfer as I drew it, but it did not. So I'm gonna work on a different method where I'm actually gonna paint the base color, the middle tone of the skin, let that dry, and then afterwards transfer my drawing onto the canvas. So you'll see me as I mix my skin color. So I'm really basic. I need to honestly probably start buying pre-mixed skin tones, but I'm so used to doing it this way that it's just what I do. So I always start with the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Too much blue, I don't need all that blue. Honestly, I use the least amount of blue. Just like a little touch. Blue goes a long way. And that's to teach you guys, for anyone who wants to learn about paint mixing. If you're using skin tones, you always want to use red, yellow, and blue. If you have basic colors, they're the primary colors. They make pretty much every color. Not every variation, but for the most part, every color. So it's red, yellow, and blue, and white for skin tone. So I'm doing paler skin, so the tone's gonna be a lot more red, yellow, white mix with the taddest bit of blue to neutralize the color. I'm gonna mix this with a palette knife, a really skinny one. So I use a lot more red and yellow. So it's pretty orange, and then you tone down that orange with some white, and it starts getting lighter and lighter. There's already a little blue in there, so I actually might not even need to use that much blue. Palette knife to mix is actually pretty good because it really just mixes fairly easily. Ooh, there's a lot of blue in this, but I think it'll be fine, being honest. Yeah, see how it's getting a little on the bluer side, but honestly it's not too bad. When it gets too much of one color, you have to mix the opposite color of it. So the opposite color on the color wheel spectrum of blue is orange, so I would have to mix a lot more red and yellow, which make orange to neutralize the blue. But honestly, I don't think I need to. I think this color honestly might be okay. And so, oops, you'll see I'm gonna start painting. Okay, so I got my handy dandy brush. So I'm gonna start with this one. With this, I could barely see the outline. So I'm just trying to find where the actual portraits are. It's a little complicated because this moved a bit. But I do see some of the outlines, so I'm just going to paint that. And again, I'm doing this so that way I could just paint in, I could transfer the features that I drew on my tracing paper, and I'll be able to actually see it because I can't see it on the surface since it's painted. cannot see if I draw on a painted surface, which makes me rethink my whole this painting on surface parts. Or maybe I'm gonna have to paint the surface at the end. I would just freehand paint instead of, you know, going with the initial drawing. But I just need the faces in at least. Once I get the faces in, then it just makes everything so much easier. So that was the first one. Now I'm gonna just let it dry, and as I let this dry, I'm gonna fluid a canvas. I try to figure out how I could get the max amount of my time. It could be a challenge. It could be a challenge, like, you know, running your own business, doing just different things on your own. I'm like, this is the first time I'm really experiencing this. I mean, I've been doing portraits for people for years, but like right now, this is my sole business. I don't work for anybody. I don't freelance for anyone in particular. Like, I strictly am my own business. So there's a lot of learning to do, but I hope, you know, during this process, like, you could learn something. I could teach you some stuff, because sharing is freaking caring, man. I feel like, you know, it's through the people that I've met in my life that, you know, helped me change my life exponentially. You know, just like things I've learned through people, and I feel like that's like the best way of learning. I mean, obviously, like, looking up information on your own is fine too, but it's not the same as you know, someone like actually teaching you like word for word about something. That's why I'm like, sometimes I'm like, should I go back to school to take some classes for stuff? Because I do well in an actual environment because I'm forced to. I'm like, this day and age with everything just being on our phones and digital is so distracting. I'm like, sometimes I have to just delete all my social media apps so I just don't use it. Because a lot of times I'm using it like out of habit. It's just like, oh, that's the first thing my finger goes to click, and I'm like, whoa. That's not what I was trying to do. Or I go on there for info because there's like messages that I have to read, and again, just end up in the fucking loop, the tunnel. Just going down the rabbit hole. So I'm like, okay, I want that to stop. So I need to get focused. Yeah, so for me, yeah, I have to get focused. And so that's my method. I know you've seen this, is like really freaking ghetto. I mean, it's not even ghetto, it's just really funny, like me doing this way. I already freaked that up. I might have to resin these canvases after. I didn't intend to, but as I'm experimenting with this method of doing paintings, I realized that one of the mediums I use to make the cells doesn't necessarily stick to regular paint. I was able to just scratch off the paint. I was like, oh, and that's what made me realize. And I'm like, oh no, I have to resin it to seal it all together in the end. And then once it completely dries, it will be very easy to get the features. And once I have the features, again, it gets really simple. It makes my life that much easier. I'm just really upset that this whole I'm trying to figure out maybe my next canvas I should cover all in tape after I do the drawing and then fluid it. I might have to do that. I never wanted to do that. It's just like, oh, you cover the whole surface because it's enjoyable. But, you know, if it's going to make my life a lot easier, then that would be quite helpful. So I'm going to let these two canvases dry. And so, since I realized that this makes things a lot more complicated to fluid the bottom and, you know, the canvas itself, I'm gonna actually do it this time different. I'm gonna put my actual drawing directly on the canvas, and I'm just gonna have to shield it. I'm gonna have to shield it with some tape and then glue it around it. The results are gonna be a lot different, but it might not be. So, you know, everything's an experiment. Like, it's just what being a creative is just being able to adapt to whatever. And I feel like the more adaptable you are, the easier life is. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And tune in next time. Thank you for watching.